I'll do that. Thank you. Thank you. No problem. Okay. So this is Newton's that law which kicked in. If anything has to go wrong, it will definitely go wrong, and it did. But we have our heroes to save the day. With that, let's move to the next section, which is the mastery of the Toastmaster of the Day role. That is going to be taken by our humorous champ, both on the stage and off the stage. You can look at his trophy closet and you can talk to his friends. All of them will vouch for it and share their anecdotes on this. So that is the kind of Toastmaster we all aspire to have in meetings when we go to. We need a Toastmaster who will keep us entertained, who will keep us lively, who will keep us engaged throughout the meeting, and also ensure we participate in the meeting. And to take us through that, who better than our own Toastmaster Rudradev Roy Chaudhary. Toastmaster Rudra, the screen is all yours.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you for having this session, and welcome you all to the first episode of Doubts Dissected. I hope that we have many more episodes of such trainings or knowledge sharings. And now it's such a good time to have such sessions because you don't have the excuse that we can't go over and attend such a educational session. So this is a very good time for us to get together and learn a few things about Toastmasters, how to make the most of Toastmasters. So I was asked to talk about how to be a better Toastmaster of the day and how you can make the most of this role. So I'd start off by telling you what is so important about this role. Why do people do it, and how you can benefit as a Toastmaster of the day or as a host, because that is the most important thing before you even start thinking about taking that nomination. Because otherwise, whenever the VP Education calls you and tells you that you need to be the TMoD this weekend, you'll see that again. I feel like it's a burden on me, that it's a price I pay to be a Toastmaster, but it's not just, it's the other way around. It's an opportunity for you to learn few very important skills. I'll talk about those skills a little. So first is that this is a skill that can easily be transferred to any other life situation. That is, you get to know how to host an event. Now, hosting an event could mean a formal event like a conference, like a meeting. It can also mean hosting a house party at your home where you are the life of the party. So it tells you how to be engaging and to help a program go through its course without introducing boredom. That is the main objective of a TMoD. Know how to host an event properly, know how to adapt to unforeseen situations. We just saw a live example of that right now, a few minutes ago. DTM Brati had some problems with his laptop, and Krish and Brati very intelligently handled that and made me take over. So that was something that is always required in all situations. In your office meetings, your laptop does not work. What do? Your presentation crashed. You start off with a blackboard. In your house, the booze gets over or the food is burnt. What do? You start playing Ludo until you order from Zomato. Something like that. So you have to have some idea of how to handle unforeseen situations in all situations. And the third is also a skill that is easily transferred to any situation, is you get to know how to introduce others. Now I'll share these notes after this meeting, whatever notes I have. I'm not showing it on screen right now because it will be distracting. But whenever you want to meet someone, or you want to meet someone, or you have to create an impression on someone, the best way to do that is to introduce that person in front of another person. And when you say good things about a person, definitely you're in the good books of that other person. And as a TMoD, we know how to flatter another person. We know how to introduce other people. So that's an important skill, not just for a TMoD, but for any host of any event. So we know how to host an event, know how to adapt to unforeseen situations, and know good ways of introductions. These are the skills that I'm going to concentrate on. Now you know why to be a TMoD. Let's talk about how to be a good Toastmaster of the day or a TMoD. So the last benefit I talked about is you get to know how to introduce people well. So to know how to introduce people well, what do you think is the first and foremost important thing? You guys can unmute and tell me, or you guys can type in chat. What do you think is the best way to introduce people? What is the most important skill that you need to have to introduce people well?
We should know about whom we are introducing.
Very good. Who was this? It was
Mota.
Diyashni?
Nidhi Mota.
Yeah. Oh, Nidhi. Hi, Nidhi. Yeah, you're absolutely right. We should know all the good things, all the bad things, things that people don't know, so that we can get some spice out of that introduction.
I mean, also age-wise, as in age and that what kind of introduction is necessary, whether it is formal, informal.
Absolutely. Yeah. In the district stage, you can't really introduce somebody in front of a crowd that they don't know that lady or that gentleman. In a more informal, you have to be a little formal. But in the club, you can have a little fun. So the context is also important. So two things Niti very rightly said, that for introducing someone, you need to know about that person and then know about what kind of information you need to take out to introduce. What sort or what mood of introduction we need. So that, just a moment, I'll just Krish, I'd request you to see if like there's some background noise and mute those parts.
Yeah, I'm not able to mute clearly.
Okay. So next thing is once you know how to introduce or how to get the introductions from people, the next idea and how the things are going to happen. So for that, what are the important elements? First is who are the people who are speaking, obviously. That is where you get the introductions from. The second is the time or the order in which they are going to speak. Third is how long they are going to speak for. And you can give me more ideas if you have a few ideas of how to manage this agenda in a better way. What I do is to have a printout of the agenda with all the times written on top of it, like the start and the end of each segment. And if I have some content that I want to say in between, I have it in that same sheet as prompts. That is for big events, like day-long events. If I have some time where I can't really remember the entire agenda, I have some notes with me. So that way you need to know the agenda ready and documented, and at the end you have to have it with you. So a lot of times, I know that Toastmasters is very professional. There's a VP education who does all this for you. But if you go and host some other informal event, like a corporate event in your own organization, or somewhere where you're just a private party organizer, you'll see that the hosts don't really know that they have to do it. They have to plan who's going to come after whom. They say that, we'll do it on the fly and dekh lenge. So that way the flow sometimes get disturbed, and you have to take initiative as a host. And lastly, I'd say that when you have a event that you want to host, it's good to have a theme. Toastmasters generally have a theme in a Toastmaster session. Outside as well, if you have some coherence in the segments or the things that you're going to speak on, that will help you be the center of attraction. Otherwise, if you come up every time with a different kind of content, then people may not be able to relate to what you're saying. Now, it can be anything. Suppose there's an event about blood donation. last week, DTM Aditya also gave this workshop talking about how blood donation can be related to a lot of things. So you find out a relation and talk about those things. You could talk about how donation in general is good, how charity helps people, and that way the theme is the same. You don't start talking about fascism or capitalism in a workshop of blood donation or in a event of blood donation. So that's what I follow. So in terms of preparation before the event, this is what you do before the event. You need to get the introductions of people, speak to the attendants, obviously get familiar with what the mood is of the event, get the agenda finalized and documented and ready with you, and finally to prepare the segments based on a theme or a general idea. So if there are any questions at any time, just type on chat and we will be able to take them on the fly. Next is, I'd like to talk a little bit about what content do we prepare. We know what we prepare, but how do we prepare for it? And what do we say in a Toastmasters of the Day speech or between the segments? So you'll see there is one line or advice that was given to me very long ago by DTM Satyadeep, that as a Toastmaster of the Day, you are never part of the spotlight. You always have to be part of the limelight, and the speakers and the role players are the people who are going to be put on the spotlight. So the evaluators, the speakers, the table topic speakers, they are the ones who have to be the center of attention. You are the one who are going to assist in that. So in this role, it's not really a big test of your speaking ability or you being the center of attraction. It's a test of you, how you can make another person the center of attraction. And it's a similar theme, like I've been saying. You make the other person feel better. You get good introductions for them. You speak on the event, not on some personal agenda or message that you have. And it's how you make the event a success. So think of it like a prepared speech. It's going to be a prepared speech with a small series of small segments. Now, even in a prepared speech, you'll have the opening. You have a structure where you have maybe 2 or 3 examples or 2 or 3 aspects of a particular speech. And then finally, you have a conclusion. In a TMoD, what you do is, it's easier in a way that you don't have to speak everything in one go. So even if you forget at a point, it's fine. After that, you can come back and prepare for the next section while the other person is speaking. So it's similar to a prepared speech. You have a theme in mind, you have a structure in mind, and you have to break down the content into a series of self-contained segments. Self-contained. Why do I say self-contained? Because if you leave a lot of things hanging, then people lose the meaning of it. So it's suppose you're talking about a very normal thing. Suppose let me take the example of a blood donation. So you talk about a few things about blood donation, that you go into a hospital, you get your preliminary medical checkup done, and then you go and sit at the desk, and then the nurse comes in, and then you stop and you say, now let me introduce the table topic master. Then you come back and you say that, okay, you're lying on the bed and the nurse is now pinching your arm and pushing the needle in. So then at that point, I feel that the continuity gets lost. So when you have, okay, I have a question from Seema. Seema ji, I'll take it after this small idea that I'm talking about. So when you have a small segment and you have a lot of things that you want to carry forward to the next section, I suggest you finish off a few so that it's easier to relate. But there's an exception to it, that I've seen a lot of people use suspense to hook people. They have a story that's going on and people are really hooked to that story, and then they say that this person opens the door and sees something, and to know what they have seen, I'll talk to it about after the table topic section. So that's a good idea that some people do, and it's a positive thing to hook people's attention. Now I have two questions. So first is Toastmaster Seema said, "Hi, when choosing a theme for the meeting, do I have to choose such a theme that will help me blend to the 3 sections, or can it be just a random theme that doesn't help in connecting the sections?" So very good question, and I think that's a pertinent question when I talk about how the theme should be able to relate to people in the audience and how it should be able to blend everything in the session. So I would say that if you are able to blend the 3 sections and introduce the sections in such a way that they are related to the theme, it creates an added plus. It creates a bonus in terms of how creative you are in explaining the guests what the table topic section or the Toastmaster of the day section is. Because a lot of people who are coming in as a guest, they don't know the 3 sections. And if you are able to relate to them with something that they've already seen, something, maybe your theme of the day is cricket, and you say that just like cricketers practice for years before a match and before a World Cup, they have so much practice and warm-ups and net practices. That is what the prepared speech section is about. So we have prepared speakers who come and deliver the speech for 7 minutes, but before that they have to go through a lot of practice and mentoring like we have with coaches in cricket. So that way, people who are here in the session for the first time, they get to know a lot about the session. So that's I hope that answers your question. Next is Pratik asked how much time to spend in every segment of the TMoD speech. So that is very subjective, depending on how big your agenda is and how much time the VP education can permit you. So mostly I would say that speak as long as the audience is interested and as long as the time permits as per the agenda. In the clubs that have an hour-long meeting, it may not be advisable to speak more than 2 minutes between each section. That includes introductions. If the session is for 2 hours, then you can probably take 5 minutes between each sections and do justice to it by keeping the audience engaged. And I'll come to that, how to keep the audience engaged in the next segment. But most important thing is to keep the audience engaged and to be the judge by yourself. To see the audience snoring and somebody in the back bench speaking to each other, that means you started to lose interest and you start to jiggle things up, either introduce a game or bring the next role player. So you have to think about that. I hope that answers your question, Pratik. The next question is by Uday. I have doubt that if I present my TMoD as a speech in parts, won't the spotlight shift as I will like to make my performance better? So here is where the idea of why the spotlight and limelight comes in. So if somebody is about to speak on a particular speech or about to speak on a particular topic and you are starting to introduce that person, so the difference between being the spotlight and limelight is, if you are in the limelight, you give a trailer about that topic. You give a trailer as in you keep the suspense alive and let the speaker reveal it. That is being in the limelight and putting the speaker in the spotlight. And being in the spotlight would be, you speak about that topic. And you say that as I have spoken, the speaker is going to repeat what I've spoken. So let me call him up on stage. And I'm sure he'll not be happy. So that's what I want to portray, that this is what the spotlight and limelight means. But if you have a theme and you want people to feel that you're speaking well on the theme, it's more than okay. It's just that you have to be more conscious of the agenda and the audience's interests and the theme in general compared to how good you're looking on stage. So that is where the role play or the service attitude of a Toastmaster of the day comes in. I hope, Uday, I've answered your question. If you have a follow-up doubt, please put it on chat. So next, let me move on to how to keep the audience engaged. So one way to do it is to throw jokes, put rhetorics, ask questions like I have been doing. Also, there is a scope for interactions or games. So if you have a question, suppose how many of you have been a Toastmaster of the day before? Can I have a show of hands? It's easier, obviously, when it's an in-person meeting. In a Zoom meeting, also you can put up people to answer in the chat window. And I just got to know from Chris that we can do polls, but only in paid accounts of Zoom. So I hope if some club has a paid account, they can do polls as well as speak to the VP education That can be a very helpful tool, and you can always play on the responses that people give, and that way it keeps the audience engaged. And especially if you have a scope for humor, you have a scope where you can have people engaged for a while using some punchlines or jokes that you can come up with in the situation. Definitely use them. That way, at least people are in the light mood. And again, like I said, that if somebody is speaking and you have an idea of what they're spoken on, you can give a small comment at the end. That that makes the speaker feel that they are listened to, that they are special, and you also relate to them. So that way, the audience also, even if they have missed the entire speech or may have missed parts of it because they were not paying attention, you summarize the speech in a while, and it's easier for them to pay attention to the next speech. And finally, this is again a fail-safe or a backup, is when something does not work according to plan. Especially in a Zoom meeting, if some speaker does not, for example, attend or backs out or drops out because of a internet connection, as a TMoD, you have an hour to kill time. So it can be a good opportunity for you to cover some material before the speaker comes back in. Suppose DTM Brati and I were two people who are doing this workshop, but only if one of us was speaking and there was nobody else. In that case, there would be a lot of pressure on Chris to keep the session alive and engaging till Brati fixes his laptop and comes online. So that is where to have a little bit of extra content would have helped. So this problem I had faced when I was at the district stage. I was anchoring in 2018, and there were 200 people on stage. And for some reason, the lady who was going to come up next was missing. And the district security at that time, he came up to me, and I didn't have any last two games with that audience. And finally, the PQT came in and saved me. That okay, thank you for buying time. I know that you were doing it, but now I have the person on stage. So that could be a very embarrassing situation if not handled well. Now again, yeah. So there's a very good question by Amit Maheshwari. In Zoom meeting, energy is low due to mute. How do you improve that? Very good point. And I think there are a lot of ways to work on that. So first of all, I told you that there could be a poll for people. There could be interactions in the chat. There could be rhetorics. And one thing I want to experiment with is to be not on mute if you don't have background noise. And that can be good interactions. If you crack a joke, at least few people will laugh if there's no background noise. So that we are trying to work out and try it out on Saturday. That's 6:50 session of DivK. Let's see how it works out. Because definitely, if there's no energy as a public speaker, it's not that good. One other thing that I would suggest is, if you want to see a little interaction, people can turn on their videos, and the speaker, instead of seeing their own face, can turn on the gallery view. You all know where the gallery view is? Yeah, thumbs up if you've seen it. Okay, if you're not, go on to the right side of your screen and you'll see speaker view and gallery view. So if you click on gallery view, then you get to see all the faces. So in that case, at least if somebody is smiling, you get to see them. And it's a good thing to have video on. I know that in the summer heat, we are not very, all of us are not in a very decent clothing state. So that's why we have our videos on. That's understandable. And if possible, if we have the videos on, it just helps. Okay. One person commented that's not available on mobile phones. Yeah. Okay. The gallery view is not available. Have a role player. You're a role player. You're a speaker. It's advisable to be on a laptop or on a bigger screen. If you can't avoid it, then I think it's okay to be okay, to be on speaker mode. Okay, finally, let me talk about delivery. So delivery is very complicated in a Zoom meeting because you only have your facial expressions, your voice modulation, and a little bit, half of your hands to work on. So in that case, how do you deliver more effectively? I feel that delivery comes with what emotion you can portray. What emotion you can portray comes from your face, comes from your eyes, comes from your voice, and your hands. Even in the sessions, in lots of corporate clubs and even in community clubs, we have tables up to our waist, and our feet don't really work. So it's mostly our hands and our face and our body that works. Only thing that we cannot use on a Zoom meeting is stage. So I think that's doable. So I would suggest to make a note of how we appear online compared to how we appear in person, because we have such small real estate, as in we don't have a lot of visual perception as speakers to the audience. It's important for us to magnify what we have. It's important for us to magnify our voice modulation, our hand gestures, our facial expressions. That creates a lot of effect on the audience. And other thing I would talk about is, like I've already spoken, is what to do to make your content more effective in terms of delivery. When the other person is speaking, take that time to rehearse your content so that you have a more rehearsed content to have more rehearsed content in a way that they're able to deliver in a more confident way. And yes, thank you, Chris. So that was my last point, and I think I've covered everything. So if there are any questions, I think we have already been doing a Q&A session, so there's nothing more left. But if you have any questions, you can put on those questions on chat, and we can take it at the end of the meeting. So over to you, Krish. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ruddra. There was a fantastic session, and actually, the one thing which I try to focus on is usually getting my introductions right. There are so many people who come up on stage and they've done so many wonderful things. So it's actually what I think is the most vital part of being a Toastmaster of the day is getting your introductions right. If the person you are introducing is not hyped by what the Toastmaster of the day says, then the audience is even further away. So that's one thing which I hope to take back from your session, and I'll work on that. Thank you very much.